Hello and welcome to Inside View. I'm your host, Joel Metzger, and joining me on this show is Jeff Rasmussen, who's a realtor in Angels Camp with Century 21 Sierra Properties, formerly Vintage Realty. Jeff, welcome.
Okay, thanks for having me.
And just because it's kind of the newest news item, tell us about Vintage going to Century 21 Sierra Properties.
Yeah, that's big news for us and I think for our community. On March 1st, Sierra Properties, Century 21 Sierra Properties in Murphys and Arnold, they have two offices there, acquired the Vintage Realty firm down in Angels Camp. So all the agents are staying on. The owners, Janet Kusledge and Nancy Whittle, are staying on as agents. So it's not a hostile takeover.
It's not a hostile takeover.
Not a hostile takeover.
Oh, okay.
You know, we thought we had these up here, but we don't. So no, it's a good thing, and I think it'll really help our clients and our customers because of the local knowledge we had as an independent agent is still there with the strength and the brand familiarity with the Century 21 brand. So it's a good thing. We're excited.
And Vintage, I mean, what a history and what a reputation you've gained for yourself through that. So, I mean, it's kind of going to be sad to see that go. I see the Vintage signs and I think positive. Yeah. So, do you think that there will be some loss with that brand kind of going away?
I mean, obviously, I think anytime there's change, there's going to be some feelings of loss and maybe some allegiance that people thought that they really had a strong affiliation with that brand. And we appreciate that. I mean, it's done. The firm has done well. They've been represented well, and I think the community has received it well. It's got a lot of the Lodestar's best of real estate office for many years. So it's a strong presence. So, but I do think I think they'll understand. Our clients will understand that this is an opportunity to extend our marketing outreach, our web presence, and the things that we needed to strengthen when you're busy, out selling real estate and interacting with the community. Maybe it's harder to come back and recreate the wheel when a brand like Century 21 has already done that. So.
And I think people understand that it's not necessarily the name, but the people behind the name that really make that experience a good or bad one. And it sounds like everyone has stayed on. Yeah. So that's got to be nice for you as someone going through a merger or acquisition.
Yeah, it's everyone has stayed, and everyone's at the firm is receiving it well, and they're excited about the opportunities. And we're joining a great team. The groups that the two offices that are now part of a 3-office trilogy are strong offices, and the people that are in them are good, solid agents. And the ownership, Kathleen Bennett owns it together with Tim Bennett, her husband, but Kathleen's the broker. Does a great job, a fine job, and I think that she'll continue that strong vintage reputation that we had down there. It's a good move. It's sometimes in business there's not always a win-win, but I think in this case it definitely is a win-win. So
the name Rasmussen,
yeah,
it has a long history in this county, does it not? It's kind of gone back for a while.
Well, it does. I mean, Rasmussen is my grandfather came here, prior to starting the ski area. He built, Mount Reba, the ski area, along with Bruce Orvis back in the 60s, and that's 1967. Prior to that, he owned a lumber mill here in San Andreas. So it's.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was in logging to begin with.
Where was it kind of about?
It was over on Pool Station Road over there, and then that was before they moved it down to Chinese camp. So this was long before I was born. So, but we've heard from a lot of old timers that still remember. I went on a listing the other day, and a gentleman worked for my grandfather. He remembered. He could tell the resemblance, and so no, we've been around a long time, and we're fortunate to have a strong family. Not as long as our other side. We're on a Rolla as well. My mom's an Rolla.
Oh,
so that goes back, literally to the gold rush. So those are, old ranching roots.
So you grew up in Calaveras County, is that right?
I actually grew up in Bear Valley.
In Bear Valley, okay. Yeah. So actually maybe across the border then in Alpine?
Well, that's Alpine County.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But we still kind of claim. I feel like we kind of claim it.
We do claim it. It's because the pass closes in the winter. And,
yeah.
When you get to college or high school age, you come down the hill to Bret Harte. You don't have a high school up there. So I was the first to go kindergarten through 8th grade at Bear Valley Elementary School. So it's a rich history. But we'd spend our summers down here running cows with my grandfather. So.
Did you grow up skiing, perhaps?
We did. Yeah.
And is it your brother who actually went a long way, or?
Kyle. Yeah. There's 4 of us 4 boys. I'm
Okay.
the oldest. Greg, and there's Kyle and Kevin. Greg and I both raced. We raced nationally and did all right with it. And,
Did you actually go into did you World Cup at all? Or?
No, I wasn't World Cup. I skied at the U.S. national level.
Okay.
Had kind of a traumatic knee injury. I had a horse fall on me and kind of tear everything up in that knee. So that put a little damper on things. So that was kind of the beginning of the end for that. But Greg was fast and skied, on the nationals or at the FIS or the NORAM level, which is domestically. So he was fast, and then Kyle just one-upped all of us and took it on, skied 3 Olympics and won 2 World Cups. So
pretty awesome.
yeah, it was good. It was a validation, for the family, and also, Kyle, he stuck with it, and now he's back raising his family in Angels Camp. Greg's in Angels Camp with his family, and my youngest brother Kevin's down in San Francisco. So,
what do you love about this county?
well, I think what we love is, obviously roots are strong. I think the quality of people. You know your neighbors. You can count. You can trust on your neighbors here. You share the good and you share the bad with them. You are in the story together. And I went away, went to college, went to Sac State and got my business degree, and my wife as well, Tracy. We moved to the East Coast. We actually got a chance to live out in Columbia, Maryland. And it was great. That's what you need to do. I think it's great for a young individual, to leave, because then when you come back, as you did, you appreciate when you come back the incredible place that you live and the incredible people that you share the space with. So it's a choice, and we knew we were going to raise our family here, and that's what we've done. I have a 23-year-old son. Now he's living in Brazil, and my 19-year-old daughter's down at college at William Jessup.
I wonder if they're going to come back as well.
You never know.
You never know.
Knows? It's a choice. So,
maybe we got some jobs ready for them.
that's true. Jobs are always important.
So you said you got a business degree. When did real estate come into the picture for you? Did you have that as kind of a long-term goal, or did you think nothing of it until you came back here?
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't think anything of it. The process of buying or selling or the intrigued me. The real estate process was interesting to me. Being from a family that had some land and how that all kind of went about, and seeing some large acres of land get away. When my great-grandfather had a bunch of land down where Maloney's is now, and a lot of that was taken by eminent domain when the lake was built. So that process was kind of intriguing. I started in the insurance industry, and when I came back here, I was part of an insurance firm in Murphy's for 12 years, and then had the opportunity to sell out of that, and then had the opportunity to come into the real estate field in 2002. So
you've been at it for roughly 12 years
12 years
now?
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you like the field so far?
Well, it started ramping right into, a good time. 2002, 3, 4, 5, which was the top of the market, 6 in that area, and then we had the big crash. So,
but you caught the good times there for a while.
Yeah, the timing, not knowing what was coming, but it was a good time to, to kind of get wet your whistle and get familiar with it. I knew a lot of the properties already, so that was nice. Yeah, and then when the meltdown came through, and the economic downturn and the recession it's hard. It weeded out a lot of realtors. It was not an easy trade to be in, like being a contractor in a lot of different industries that suffered. This was one that it was tough, but we're working our way back out of it now. The economy is doing better, and our market is recovering. Pretty healthy.
So as a realtor, you're supporting your family doing this occupation, and you get to 2007, 2008. What went through your mind, and how did you decide, okay, I'm going to grit my teeth and bear it, and I'm going to get through this? How did you, or did you end up making it work even though it was tough? How did that go?
Yeah, when you decide to stay here, you decide to create this as your home, and you decide to raise your family here. You're not just going to up and leave. We happen to build on a piece of family property, so it's not easy to just liquidate that and move on. You feel like your roots are deep enough that the wind can blow, but it's not going to tip the tree over. We knew there was a way to make it through it. It was not easy, and you just figure out ways to, because during that time there's opportunities that present themselves as well. There's people that need assistance when you're going through a bad time. When there's short sales, distressed properties, foreclosures. There's a lot of transactions that will still go on. Some of them aren't favorable because it's not a pleasant thing to do, some of those, but that process still has to work its way through. And it just required kind of changing focus and understanding that, that short sale, distressed property and foreclosure market. It was, you had to re-educate yourself because that's a total different animal. The vernacular is different, the terms they use and the process is different. But you learn that, and we're still dealing with some. We'll still deal with some for a while. But if you're familiar with it and you can help, counsel someone that may be going through it, you can make a bad situation, hopefully at least, tolerable.
For those who aren't super familiar with kind of what a realtor does, I know it seems like most people have a basic idea, but what would be kind of a layman's terms explanation of your job description in a way? What's your week look like? What's your month look like, sort of a thing?
Well, I mean, it's going to vary for different realtors. I mean, obviously you're in it, that's your living. I really view myself as just a consultant. I mean, it's something that I have people constantly will stop by the office, and whether or not they're looking to buy a house, looking to sell a house, they have questions on, their assessment of their property. I kind of just view it as I'm going to provide, the information, the answers that I can, to the best of my knowledge. If I don't know it, I'm going to try and figure out what it is, and then I think the rest takes care of it. If you can be, an expert that they seek on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, whatever it is, I think it sets yourself up when they do need to sell. You're the natural, choice for them, or your resource to refer them to someone who may know better. Maybe it's an attorney that has to help them out with something, or a lender that might help them out with an element of getting qualified. So on a daily basis, you make yourself available for your clients that you've built relationships with, because that's what every business that's successful is, that's about relationships. So you need to try and learn as much as you can and be available, and that's really, I make a real point of it to be out. I'm fairly visible, involved with a lot of different things, whether it's shooting sports shots for you guys, or any of the other media around here who needs them, because really the kids, that's we do it. It's for the kids so they can get their picture, they get some recognition. So, and as a result of that, people they're familiar with you, or school board. I'm on the school board at Bret Harte, and you just, if you're involved in your community, people see a lot, and you don't do that for your business at all. That's not why. It's just a matter of, I think, if you're in this area, you choose to you be involved, and we all rely on each other, and we go to each other for help when we need it, and if it's real estate, it's great.
How does a realtor go about getting a listing, and then how can other realtors, if they show someone that listing that's not theirs, how does that work if they end up selling that house, sort of a thing?
Well, when a listing's taken, there's a percentage that's worked in. That's one side of it is for the listing side, the other is for the selling side. So we'll advertise that in the multiple listing service, and any realtor that's a licensed realtor in the state of California, or a licensed real estate agent in the state of California, can sell that property. If they're a member of the Calaveras County Association of Realtors, then they'll have our multiple listing access and be able to pull that up off the computer, and they'll have access to seeing what are the specifics about that property. And if they bring in a client that they're representing, then then the firm that we if we took the listing, then we pay the person, the agent that brought the offer in.
A percentage of whatever.
A percentage of the total that's been negotiated.
I always thought it was just kind of strange that anyone could just show any property as long as they're a realtor. It's kind of a neat system. It's very open in a way.
It's very open. It's very transparent. That's I think it needs to be, and I think it's pretty well understood. But I think it's nice to bring the point up so everyone knows that if you, a lot of times I'll view the other realtors as like important clients, because I want their clients, their buyers to be looking at my listings. So I think that it's nothing that, it's to everyone's advantage to be shown as many properties as you can, because you never know what a buyer's going to like. And if I have a competing real estate company, you want to have access to all theirs, and that's really what lends to a good, transparent market.
When you look at Calaveras County as a market, what makes it unique? What makes it different than a Central Valley market or a Bay Area market?
My personal opinion on that is I think that people, buyers that buy in Calaveras County aren't necessarily buying because they know that it's a good investment. And I know it is a good investment. I mean, that's a great benefit for buying here. But it's usually a lifestyle choice. It's a life decision when they do this. I think we're unique. And I'm sure there's a lot of foothill counties and a lot of coastal counties are the same way, that people are saying, I've done this, I've done that, I've done the rat race, I've done whatever I've done. And maybe I'm ready for something different. I'm ready for what this area offers. And I ask that question. A lot of times I'll see a client who has been looking, and they've been looking all up and down 49, or maybe they're looking east and west up 4, 88, Pioneer, Sonora. And I'll ask them, why'd you stop here? Just curiosity to see. So what continually comes up is, our natural beauty it goes without saying, that's why we're here. They talk, if they're interested in water sports, they've got Maloney's, that's big for them. The river is big for people. If they're ski, people, enthusiasts, or snowboard or snow sports, Bear Valley is a great, option. So it's really rare to have so many different quality activities be really geographically close. If they, of the wine crowd, and they want to enter, they're interested in fine dining and some wine. Murphy's is, established itself with a stellar reputation. So we're real unique in that fashion. If you start looking at some of the other communities that we would compete against, it's hard pressed to look at another one that has as much as we do. There's some others that are really fun, nice little communities, but sometimes the 80 crowd, they don't like dealing with getting stuck on 80 for 2 hours in a traffic jam. They don't deal with that on Highway 4. So I think that's what's unique about our market. I think it's a choice that someone comes here because they've said, this is what we want to do. We don't care really what anyone else says. We don't care really what, to some extent what jobs may be there, because you realize when you come here, it's not the easiest place to come and find a job.
Yeah.
And sometimes they bring their job with them. They telecommute, or they have a job that they can commute with, or they're a creative soul and they're making things or whatever. But it's because the construction industry is for a long time, and that created a lot of jobs.
Would you say that of the many groups of people who buy here, some of the main ones might be, if we go east, up Highway 4, vacation home region in like the Arnold, Dorrington area, and then we have people who've been here a long time and maybe those long-term families. And then down toward the west end of the county, we see maybe some people who maybe are commuting down in the Central Valley. Yeah. Are there any other big groups I'm missing there of people who own homes?
No, that's a pretty, generalizations are always tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally you have a lot of vacation home buyers that are up, on the east, on the Highway 4 corridor up there. They like to spend their summers there, their winter skiing. And you have your full-time residents. Every community's got their full-time resident. But you have some people that like to be in the Murphy's area because they like Murphy's, or they like to be below the snow. That's important to them. So yeah, but you can make those generalizations to some extent. A lot of your commuters will be the west end of the county. They can commute into the valley really easily, and a lot of people who have jobs that prefer not to live in Stockton or prefer to live.
Why wouldn't you want to live in Stockton?
You answered that question.
So give me some numbers, because I know that you have access to a lot of numbers, but what's been going on, let's say, in the last year, if we look at that?
The last year, actually, the market generally is doing well. This last fall, we've hit a little bit of a lull, but you're going to have that, where it's a little bit seasonal anyway. It's a lot of times in the fall, we tend to slow off a little bit, and then we really start picking back up again right now. When the grass is green, everyone comes out. But if we were to look at the numbers, that this is countywide, that the Calaveras Association of Realtors puts out, we're up as a selling price total, which is the total aggregate of all the homes that have sold, by 20%. For 2013 over 2012.
Wow.
The average selling price is up 17%. So, to give you an example, in 2012. The average selling price was $193,000, and now the average sales price is $226,000. So you can see that it has come up. The years prior to that, when we had a lot of distressed sales, you might have had a lot of stuff churning, but prices were still kind of generally low. And we really see that the distressed properties, which are short sales and foreclosures, are really, really dipping. They're really starting to slide, which is a good thing. It's good for the market in general. days, like I say, days on market are coming down, which is a good thing. That's a good indicator that the market is picking up. It's not white hot like the Bay. You'll have certain parts in the Bay Area that are incredibly hot. Multiple offers within days of being able to take the offer, and ridiculous amounts over asking price. We will see, some multiple offers come in up here. It's not uncommon right now, especially if the property is really, aggressively priced and it's in maybe a good spot. Multiple offers aren't uncommon. Inventory, like I say, the inventory is pretty low, and I work in the Angels, Murphy's, Vallecito, San Andreas area, and it wasn't uncommon just in Angels camp during, the times they have 70, at the high maybe have 70 houses available. Now we're 40 houses available. So really the inventory is pretty, there's enough there to get a good representation of the market, but there's not an overabundance. So,
what happens when you get down to like 10 or 5 inventory or something like that? I mean, is there a point when people just don't want to sell their homes anymore, or does that ever?
No, it does. You'll see these fluctuations where it might get down to 25, and again, we're talking a very small little spot here. So if you're extrapolating out into the other markets, anytime inventory shrinks, prices tend to go up. And that's generally just economics 101.
So good for the sellers right now, I guess.
It's good for the sellers, but I wouldn't say it's totally a seller's market, because there's still we just went through this kind of funky fall where there wasn't a whole lot of buyers out. There is, though, you can feel that kind of pent up latent demand that people are still looking. But they might have talked to their friend who bought a house in 2011, the end of 2011, and timed it really good. And they realized that what they bought it for, and they realized what that same house would be going for right now. And they kind of went, it scares them a little bit. But is it still a good time to buy? It's still a great time to buy. For a long time there, buying some of these lower priced houses was cheaper than rent might be sometimes.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a no-brainer. And money was dirt cheap. Getting a loan was really, really affordable, really low. And it's still, the National Association of Home Builders was quoting saying that rates they went from dirt cheap to cheap. They're still very good. An FHA today was running, 3.75, and a conventional was running 4.25. So.
And these are still, like, for those who dealt with interest rates in the 2000s and 90s, you just didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, it's still very strong money, and it's still available. And as opposed to when the hyped market in the 2, 5, 6, and 7 was going on, there's some underwriting guidelines now. They're a little tighter, but they're very reasonable. If you've got good verifiable income, then the money, the availability is out there. I guess I would just recommend that, that's not my thing. I'm not a lender. So I would recommend that somebody, if they're looking at buying real estate, even thinking about it, that the first part of establishing a really strong team is to deal with a good, strong local lender they trust, maybe a referral that they've spoke with someone that they trust in the past that could give them a name. Because I think it's important to get an accurate idea of what you can qualify for, and then an accurate idea of the lenders that particular lender is dealing with, that they do want to write business in this area, and they're familiar with writing business in this area. I had a recent transaction where it was an lender, and it was an internet-based lender, and it came right down to the end trying to fund it, and they were trying to verify the property address by the United States Postal Service. Well, this underwriter wasn't aware that half of our addresses up here, are delivered to a post office box. So that would have not been a problem if they were using a local lender, and it created a delay in closing and funding problems. So those things sometimes just get worked out. Sometimes they can be big issues. So I think the first place to start is someone to deal with a good, solid local lender. Hopefully that they, even though they can't choose them, but the approved list of appraisers that they have access to, or that their lender has access to, are local appraisers, which is important. You don't want someone that's not familiar with the area, coming up and appraising the house, and maybe the last appraisal they did was Stockton. Then you don't want them appraising a house in Murphy's.
No.
So that probably wouldn't yield a good result.
And you had said go to your lender first, find out what you do qualify for, and one of the big reasons for that is it would really hurt to go and fall in love with a house and then go to the lender afterward and realize there's no way.
It's just not there. It breaks their heart.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved them come to me first. I mean, the first advice I would give them was to go to, here's some generalities of what's available out there, kind of dream, because that's how it all starts. But before you get your heart set on an area or a particular house, have that dialogue, and they can tell you, what you can buy, what you're qualified to. Doesn't mean you need to spend it all. You could definitely say, I'm going to be conservative and not spend all everything I can qualify for, because maybe I'm not going to have the same year next year that I did. But regardless, you'll at least know, and it's just a great place to start.
Now, the building cost versus the buying an existing structure cost has been there's been a big gap between that. It's been a lot more expensive to build than it is to buy something.
Unfortunately.
What are the home builders saying about that in terms of, is building going to come back? Because I know it's a huge part of this economy in Calaveras, or has been.
Yeah. I answer that with kind of two facets here. If we look at what is being said nationally, the National Association of Home Builders has a pretty optimistic forecast. They basically have said, or they've been able to determine that during this meltdown in the last 5 years, 3 million households that would have been generated have not been generated. They moved in with their grandparents, their parents, whatever, and they didn't form households. Typically, about 16% of your inventory is from, and this is on a national level, is from new home construction. The last 5 years, that's been running about 8%. So it's about half of what it traditionally, could be. So you'll get most of the forecasts will say that the pent-up demand is strong, and that there's going to be the need for more houses. The problem therein lies is if the economics are not there yet, then in smaller communities like up here, a lot of times we won't have a big builder roll in and blast out 100 homes at one time, or 1,000 homes. It's individual contractor who's gone, or individual who's hired a custom builder to come in and build their house. So I don't know if those numbers are going to play through in our economy yet, but I have seen an increase in vacant land purchases. I've seen an increase in, we've seen a couple spec houses even started over in Greenhorn Creek. So those are good signs. You're cautiously optimistic. We're moving the right way. Are we there fully in yet? I hope so. I think it'll get to the point that someone might, if they're looking and the inventory's low, and they're like, I just can't find what I want. But that lot's really nice, and it's close enough that maybe they make the plunge to buy or build what they want, because they just can't find what they want already built. And as long as that gap is narrowing, we're seeing some people start giving that consideration.
If you could make a prediction in 10 seconds, is the market going to continue going up or stay flat?
I think it's going to go up.
Go up. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I've got my cell phone is 209-768-9522. Carry it with me all the time. We're putting together a new website, obviously, with Century 21, so I'll have that available shortly.
Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Joel.
Thank you for joining me on this edition of Inside View. I'm your host, Joel Metzger, and I hope you join me next time.